sun is just starting to climb up over the treetops. And it's gonna be a beautiful day, that's plain to see.
Welcome to Bill Dance Outdoors, America's most popular and longest running TV fishing show.
Now I've gone fishing with Bill Dance today.
Pretty fish. Woo. Hello everybody. You know, years ago, we shot a show titled My Pet Lure. It was a bass fishing show, and we were catching some pretty nice bass around the base of cypress trees out of a Mississippi River oxbow. If I remember right, it was around mid-December, and the water was, I'll tell you what, it was doggone cold, somewhere in the low 40-degree range. Possibly you saw that show, and if you did, you probably know what my pet lure is. If not, let me tell you. But before I do, let me say, I think it would be accurate in saying that most bass fishermen have a pet lure. Mine is this little fellow right here. The jig and plastic combination. Let me tell you, there's no question in my mind that this combination will produce fish 12 months of the year in a stained to clear water environment, especially from mid-fall to late spring. To me, it's one of the best big bass baits in a wide variety of conditions. Come on. Where are you going? Ooh, that's a tough fish. Whoa! I'm telling you one thing, he got his hat. Whoa! Get out of that stuff. Well, I mean, he hit it and he took off for Yondersville. Oh, come on. Let me tell you, the main reason I believe in the ability of the jig to produce large fish or even great numbers of fish can be attributed to the fact that it resembles one of the bass's favorite food sources, and that's the crawfish. And the major reason why jigs are effective in radically different waters in all parts of the country stem from the fact that crawfish are a prevalent food source throughout America. It represents a crawfish better than any lure known to man. There's no question that the basic size and shape of a jig and the way it moves, swims, falls, and hops emulates a crawfish more than anything else. The addition of a plastic trailer, which is a must, makes it look even more natural. You know, jig fishing requires concentration and sensitive hands to feel for any change in resistance of the jig as it hops, swims, and falls. Anytime you feel even a faint degree of lessening or increased tension, it's always smart to set the hook. But that's why I like a fluorescent line. I'm a line watcher. You can see it. That line moves off to the left or the right. You know, sometimes bass can take this bait so gently. All they do is just simply open their mouth. They just flare their gills at the same instant, and the jig and the plastic just disappears in the mouth. You know, I've witnessed this on many occasions, and it's really a sight to see. In jig fishing, I do believe it's important, in cold water especially, to use the lightest weight jig you can get away with. Get off that stump, bud. Oh, little guy. What are you doing? What are you doing? Trying to play a trick on me and run around that stump.
Bill Dance Outdoors is sponsored in part by Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here. Rebel, catch fish anywhere. And by Mercury Marine, go boldly. Today's Conditions Log is brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development. Come experience the kind of beauty that can only be made in Tennessee. Go online today for your free Tennessee vacation guide.
Come on. Look at here. Another one got it right there. Yeah. I got the fish, the limb, and everything. Well, I ain't got him yet. There goes my hat. And I got the fish. And I got that fish. Goodbye. That's a pretty fish there. Woo. You hang them up in a bush. If you'll apply the same amount of pressure to them as they apply to you, you'll free them more times than not. If they pull down 2 feet, you pull back 2 feet. You don't reel 2 feet, you pull. If they pull a foot, you pull a foot. If they pull 3, you pull 3. You don't reel 3. In other words, if you reel, you're reeling up line, and you'll reel them up and winch them up against the cover, and they can't swim. They've got to swim to be able to free themselves. You know, like I was saying, it's always best to use the lightest jig you can use and get away with. Now, the reason for this is simple: the fall rate. Lighter jigs will fall slower, which look a whole lot more natural. Sure, using a heavier jig, you'll be able to cast it further, you'll be able to get it to the bottom quicker, and you're going to have a lot better feel with it, but not always the best success with it. Now, I'm not suggesting you should never use heavier jigs, because there are times when you should use them, especially when the wind is blowing and restricting your feel, or perhaps when you're fishing in a current or deep water, or even in deep cover. A heavier jig will penetrate cover and sink through it into the strike zone, where lighter jigs won't. There's not a lot of contour changes in this flat. It's just a depth. It seems to be between 7 and 10 feet. So what I do when I establish a depth, they don't seem to be in 3, 4, 5 feet of water. They don't seem to be out 12, 13, 14 feet. So when I establish a depth, what I do is just zigzag. I'll go from 10 to 7, 7 to 10, 10 back to 7, and I just zigzag that depth. I've got a depth finder right here, and I'm watching it constantly, keeping the boat in that depth of water, 7 to 10. When I get into 5 or 6, it seems like I get out of the fish. When I get out to 11 to 12, I get out of the fish. Oh, that's a good one right there. Yes, sir. Gold fish. Woo. Fatty. Woo. You know, I've had fishermen ask me from time to time, when do you set the hook on this thing? Well, you know, that's kind of hard to explain, except If the tension feels different or the line looks different, I usually take up the slack and bust him. Sometimes I think, I set the hook on suspicion. Hey, let me tell you something. When you're in doubt, what you want to do is jerk. It doesn't cost anything to jerk. You in doubt? Just jerk.
Today's show is sponsored in part by Quantum Rods and Reels, Mystic Lubricants, Lubrication Domination, and Tracker Boats, fish the finest. Today's equipment log is brought to you in part by Gamakatsu, because the fish of a lifetime only comes once in a lifetime. Today's show is sponsored in part by Stren, the standard of dependability since 1958. Lure Lock, turning the tackle world upside down. And Garmin, fight your fish, not your fish finder.
Oh, yes, a better one. Whoa. Where are you going? Where are you going? I didn't think you was much punkin when you first hit it. Toodaloo. When working a jig, there are 4 highly effective presentations. One is bottom hopping, the swimming technique, the hop, swim, and hop retrieve, and the jigging method. Okay, let's start with the bottom hopping presentation. Now with this, all you do is cast the lure out past your target and allow the jig to fall on a semi-tight line. Once the jig settles to the bottom, raise your rod tip slowly from the 10 o'clock to the 11 o'clock position. The jig will swim forward until it hits the bottom. Lower the rod tip back to 10 o'clock, reeling up any slack line, and repeat. Remember, most of the strikes will occur as the lure drops back to the bottom. The swimming technique. Here, the jig and plastic should swim roughly parallel to the bottom or up off of the bottom as you keep tension on your line while you retrieve slowly. Now it's important to try to feel the jig and watch your line for a twitch or lateral movement or a thump if the jig is being swimmed off of the bottom. Okay, the hop, swim, and hop. Now with this presentation, it's similar to bottom hopping, but here you allow the jig to touch the bottom. Then raise your rod tip slowly and swim the jig a few feet and allow it to settle back to the bottom and repeat again. Jigging the cover. Now with this retrieve, all you do is work the jig in a jigging motion, up and down, over and through the cover. Let me show you the one we're using today. It's Bass Pro Shop's Enticer Pro Series football jig. Now the shape of the head is very important. It keeps the hook riding up, and that really does make a difference in the heavy cover like we're fishing today. It sports a premium 44 strand silicone skirt that has a heavy-duty recessed eye that helps in preventing hang-ups. Another feature about this rig is the trailer. It's Bass Pro Shop's Swimming Elite Chunk. It's 3.5 inches long and it has tremendous action. Now this chunk has crawfish arms that pulsate, swim, and flap to the slightest movement. This extends the lure, giving it a streamlined look, which is very appealing. It also adds buoyancy, which allows for greater lift and a slower fall, allowing you to work it extremely slow and giving it greater action and more lifelike appearance. A tremendous trailer, and let me tell you something, it's extremely tough. Nice one. Get up under all that cover. Come here, Buster. Got it too way back in there. Boy, hook is sharp. There you go. Woo!
Bill's question and answer of the week is brought to you by Bill Dance Digital. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube for great information that can improve your fishing.
What can help you get more strikes on a bottom bumping bait like a jig, worm, or tube? Slow things down. Hold the rod at the 2 o'clock position and move the lure. It's more of a slow drag than a hop, though you may have to hop it a little bit through cover. Then drag it along. This technique can really make a difference when the bite is slow.
Today's show is sponsored in part by Millennium Marine, a new class of comfort. And Motor Guide, trolling motors engineered for anglers. Closed captioning provided by Power Pole, the original shallow water anchor. Today's product tip is brought to you by Garmin and their GPS map series, chart plotter sonar combos. With advanced sonar technology like Chirp and exclusive Panoptix all-seeing sonar, you'll spend less time finding your fish.
No, that's not an antenna. It's my Power Pole micro anchor that holds boats or anchors boats up to 17 feet or 1,500 pounds, which is perfect for this rig. The all-electric micro drives the spike up to 8 feet deep and comes with 2 remote controls. And since it's made by the good folks at Power Pole, it has the same fast deployment and silent operation and unbelievable holding power.
Come be a part of Bill Dance Digital. Join us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Follow us.
Well, that's good one right there. Oh, yeah. Whoa. Whoa, baby. Yes. Ooh, aren't you a big old fat thing? We're going home. Yep. I can't overemphasize the importance of working the jig as slowly as you possibly can, regardless of which technique you use. And the colder the water, the more important this is. One thing that'll help you with this slow approach is to use the lightest jig you can possibly use and an oversized piece of plastic for more buoyancy. Now this Bass Pro Shop Swimming Elite Chunk is just perfect for this. It creates a great slow natural fall with plenty of action. Speaking of plastics a few minutes ago, let's spend a minute and discuss why it's smart to use plastic on your jig. First of all, it gives tremendous eye appeal to the lure because of the action it provides. It also increases the size of the lure, which naturally creates a bigger image in the water. And like I said, it adds buoyancy to the lure to help hold it up for a slower presentation or for a slow fall, which can mean the difference in catching or not catching. Looking back over the years, this double trouble combination has been mighty good to me. Like I've said, good sized bass, even inactive bass, are not tailored to long pursuit. They prefer something that looks natural and moves with a slow, tantalizing manner. And this outfit I'm fishing fits that to a T. Like I said, what we're using a medium heavy action Acris PT Quantum rod, and we're using an Acris reel. It's a 25 series. It's got a wide spool. We're using 20-pound test. It's Stren Original, clear blue fluorescent. And this rod is extremely sensitive. It's got a tremendous amount of backbone. It's fast tapered, got a real sensitive tip, and like I said, it's got a lot of backbone. Look at that, it's about a 20-80 action. Right here, you can see it breaks at about 20% of the tip, and all down through here is backbone. So, ooh, what a big old fat fish. What a big old pretty fat fish. Look at that. And then missing any meals, has he? Boy. Nice, nice, nice. All right, honey. I'll let you go. All right, okay. We're going back. We're going home. Woo! Well, this good old hot day is just about gone. But it proved that just because bass are not all that aggressive, they can be caught, provided you're fishing the proper depth, technique, and location. Today, we've done just that with a bait that I call my pet lure. We've certainly enjoyed it. We sure hope you have, and we hope you'll tune in again next week at the same time. But until then, you catch a lot of fish, keep what you can use, and release the rest. We'll see you next time.
Now I've gone fishing with Bill Dance today.
Thanks for watching Bill Dance Outdoors. Join us here again next week.
Now I've gone fishing with Bill Dance today.